Let's all begin. On the front, yes, please come to the front here. Any chair on the front, you'll find to sit. Any chair on the front. Please make yourself at home. We're trying to fill this part of the room before we just for. Okay. So anybody before 6:30? So she's the first person to come here today, apparently. Okay. Let me like. What's your name, ma'am?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. In which side of town do you use today? The side of town. John, good. All right. All right. Beautiful. Okay. So what you do is you need to choose between land taking and we'll find the land. Let's put that this way in front here. ARDs in the building. My brother from Akwa Ibom in Ghana. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Congregation of Lagos Energy Week together by the Lagos section of Nigeria, Council of SPE, of Petroleum Engineers. Our speakers want to say a big thank you to our sponsors. We want to thank you immensely. And of course, the board who is creating this platform for continuous engagement. We also want to thank you. We want to welcome all of our dignitaries. Before I proceed, however, as is customary with our business industry, we'll take a safety remark or briefing from staff of the facility landmark. Us will walk us through where we are and what to do. All applause for us, ladies and gentlemen. Please, the two front of use as beside my right hand side, use the restroom on the left hand side as well. Use of the restroom. If you're feeling headache, you're not feeling too well, at the emergency outside, thank you so much. Okay, the restroom is located at the left of the wall. If you have any doubt to where you might be speaking about this, our facility staff they guide you appropriately. Again, our apologies for the schedule. The first the national anthem, sharply please.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own native land, who tried us from the deep, in brotherhood we stand, and build for and houses so
God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria. I said first stanza. Please be seated. Stanza is motherland. Once you hear motherland, has ended. I think it's simple. It's from the for events of this nature, it just presents that, right? When it's a national event, the national event is like, you know, freestyle. You can also take it as a national prayer. You could take a song or just national prayer. At the end of the event of the nature, it is expected if you want to do an anthem, edge, both of elite was no to for events like this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to again Lagos Energy Week 2026. Because of time and the event that we have here, I would not want to bore you with establishing any because the room are in panel or no, and we will get to them. And when we get to them, you'll learn a little bit about them. But say that our very regional is here. Of course, a lot of it happened, and Lagos Energy, when is also here, and all of us welcome all of you. See the MD of the MD we welcome you. We thank you for joining us, and of course, as well. Welcome all of you. Thank you for your kind presence. So I want to share the last event where someone came to tell me, "Oh, I'm looking for my conference bag." I'm like, "Let them give you another one." He was like, I put something in it. You don't do that. You know, you don't do that. Don't put any personal valuable inside identical conference bags. You could get burnt in the process. Okay. Now, there are cities that consume energy, and there are cities that define how energy shapes the future. And Lagos is one of such cities that both consumes and defines how this thing called energy shapes the future. And creating the Lagos Energy Week is Spe Lagos' section way of saying we're in Lagos doing business in Lagos. Let us also add to the conversations being held here in Lagos. Let me get quickly into the agenda of the morning. Now, following my opening as I'm doing now, the chairperson for Spe Lagos chapter would speak to us, section will speak to us, the AROD will follow, and the Honorable Commissioner will then address us. We'll take an industry address on NMPC's gas master plan from the EVP, and then we will proceed immediately to the panel, a rich panel if you ask me, of CEOs and our moderator who are already seated to walk us through. A sponsor will speak to us, we'll pause and do a quick tour of the exhibition and career fair grounds, and then we'll come back from that and take another presentation. A panel will follow after that, and there you have it. Our sponsors will speak, and voila, we're done with day one. So if you were planning to run off, just give us a few hours of your time today, and before you say Jack, we will be done with day one. My name is Richmond Osuji. Many don't know, I'm a member of this section, right? So we welcome you. Okay, so let me allow my chairperson do the formal opening and welcoming. Please welcome Ms. Uju Ibokwe for her welcome remarks.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I need to find my speech. Please give me a second. Okay. Good morning, distinguished guests, industry executives, policymakers, government representatives, academia, innovators, if you're in the room, young professionals, our exhibitors, our colleagues across the energy industry. I welcome every single one of you to the Lagos Energy Week. My name is Uju Ibokwe, like Richmond had introduced me. It is my honor, on behalf of Society of Petroleum Engineers Lagos section, to welcome every single one of you and to open this year's Lagos Energy Week. This is our flagship platform for dialogue. It is a platform for innovation, and it is a platform for collaboration across Nigeria's evolving energy landscape. This gathering brings together the brightest minds, and the most influential voices shaping the future of energy in Lagos, in Nigeria, and Africa as a whole. Our theme this year is Sustainable Growth Through Gas, Building Energy Security for Lagos, Nigeria, and West Africa. This could not be more timely, right? Because we've been to a couple of events, back to back, and it's all been about gas, right? So as the world accelerates towards a lower carbon future, natural gas stands out as a very vital transition fuel for us here in Lagos and Nigeria as a whole. It is one that supports industrial growth, it enhances energy reliability, and reduces environmental impact. This week, which we had, even though we called it the Lagos Energy Week, right? We started last week on Friday with a golf tournament that was well attended. Now, the remaining part of this week of our week is today, tomorrow, and something on Saturday for our young professionals. Now, in this week, over the next couple of days, we'll engage in strategic panel sessions. We'll have a lot of discussions, conversations. We will engage with one another on talking about how gas is that key factor that will drive us to the energy security that we're seeing as a country. We'll have a fireside chat. We'll have a round table. We'll have a round table on policy. And we would also have, obviously, at the back, we have our exhibitors. And then on this side, we'll have career fair, where we have a couple of companies that will be there to speak to anybody. If you're looking to move, if you're looking at your career, and if you're interested in knowing what is available out there, they will all be available for you to speak to. So I enjoin you all that beyond the conversations we're going to have, right, this is a platform for us to connect as professionals and as leaders in this industry and make our contribution. Our exhibitors, like I said, will showcase cutting-edge technologies, and they will showcase their solutions. Please feel free to visit them. It's very important because they've put in so much work to ensure that, their booths, they have people there that will answer all our questions. I enjoin you all to please go out there when you have the time to visit them and understand what services they provide and how you can support them as well. This year's event also reaffirms our commitment to grooming future leaders. So this is my reference to the young professionals. We have quite a number of them. They're still on their way, they're coming. And this is my plea to the leaders of the industry to please engage with the young ones, okay? Speak to them, show them the way, show them the ropes. However you got to where you are, it's important that you share as much as you can today. Give them the time that they are seeking for. I know you've got very busy schedules, but it will be nice to spend 1 or 2 minutes with a couple of them, just speaking to them on whatever it is that is bugging their minds. And to our partners, our sponsors, and our collaborators, we say a very big thank you. We couldn't have put all of this together without your help. I mean, the place looks really lovely, amazing. The sound, everything is all in place. So I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you for supporting us. Your support strengthens our ability to convene stakeholders and influential leaders today and for tomorrow as well. So as we open this year's conference, I encourage you all to contribute boldly, think critically, and network widely. The insights exchanged here today have the potential to drive real transformation because we are here not only just to talk, we are here to also walk the talk, right? And not only for Lagos, but we are here for the entire region. Luckily, we have our African Regional Director, so he's here representing the rest of Africa. So thank you, sir, for being a part of our event today. So it is my privilege and honor to open up this Lagos Week, and I ask you all to sit back and enjoy yourselves. So thank you so much. Thank you, and have a pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you, Benu Jubukwe, the chairperson of the Lagos section of SPE Nigeria Council, welcoming us and reminding us why this is done, and soliciting some attention for our young professionals and student members who've come out here today. Let's please give her another round of applause. While she was speaking, we were joined by our EVP, Gaspar New Energy of NNPCL. Welcome, Mr. Lalekon. Please, a round of applause. Mr. Lalekon, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here in person. That also forms as the inspiration we're giving to these young professionals. Okay, next on my agenda, we will take a remark from a distinguished SPE member who is one of those that is passionate about students, members, and young professionals himself. It's one who has honed his skills in different parts of the world, from Europe to America. He's learned, if you like, his energy skills, training in the different aspects of the energy industry at diverse universities across Europe. But today, he's the Chief Executive Officer and Industrial Coordinator of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies of Ghana, and a lecturer, adjunct lecturer with about 3 institutions. I'll just give you 1 or 2 of them. He's an adjunct lecturer at the Ghana Technology University College, a Coventry University campus in Africa, a visiting lecturer at the Cape Coast University as well in Ghana, and many more. But this morning, importantly to us, he is our Regional Director for Africa here at SPE. Please welcome Dr. Riversing Opong for his own address. The Ghanaian from Akwa Ibom, the only one at that.
Okay, good morning. So permit me not to spend so much time here when I have so much dignities to also give some speech, but let me quickly acknowledge the presence of the SP Nigerian Council Chair, Engineer Francis. Also, the board members of Nigerian Council, if any BOT is here. Lagos Session Director, Dipo Shafa. The session chair who just spoke, that's the SPE side. Also want to acknowledge the presence of the EVP of NNPC Gas. Welcome, sir. I've seen a lot of known faces that I've met in the past 5 years across Africa and beyond. So, esteemed industry leaders, I welcome all of you, government representations present here, distinguished guests, young professionals, and all SP and non-SP members who are going to be converted from today or from this week, present here today, welcoming you to the all-important SP Lagos Energy Week. I always say that I'm in Nigeria not because I feel like I'm from Oyo, Kwebo. But also, when I heard that Nigerian football team has been qualified for the World Cup, I was so excited. Yes, for the pre-qualifier, yes. And when Ghana was not qualified for the football, there was a big fight. You didn't qualify for Africa. But we also qualified for the World Cup. When Nigeria was beating Egypt, the whole Ghana was happy. Believe it or not, we can fight over just price. But when it comes to Nigeria beating a Northern African country, all you. That's the spirit of the West African blood, you know. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Bolaji, the Executive Director for Pan-Ocean. I'm very, very fortunate to meet you today. I've known you from afar. Indeed, I bring you warm greetings from the SPE International Board, specifically from the SPE President, which we spoke just last night, and she knows I'm here. She's also looking forward to visiting Nais in August after the board meeting in Kenya. Special greetings also from the CEO of SPE, Simon, who's looking forward to visiting Nigeria one day. It is impossible not to, it's just impossible to turn down this invitation because Spe Lagos is not just an ordinary session to SPE International as a whole. It is indeed the first session to ever be set in Africa, and it is the 61st SPE session. Apart from that, I'm sure the year it was created, 1973, half of the whole here were not born. Today, with a member of almost 3,000, it plays with the league of what we call in SPE the largest members sessions. So that's like the Aberdeen, like the golf sessions in Houston, or even in Scotland, or also in Norway. So the status carried pride as SPE Lagos. So if you're an SPE Lagos member, you should be proud of yourself that you gave birth to SPE Africa by becoming the first ever session and giving birth even to other sessions who call themselves session 104, and session 107, but 7. So we are very proud of you, even at the international level. And also because last year you also were honored as the SPE Presidential Award winner, apart from also being awarded as the most dynamic session in Africa, in Tanzania at ATC. Lagos itself mirrors the growth. And I was just telling a joke to somebody this morning that the Lagos, population alone is bigger than Ghana population. And that is not a joke. That's why from the airport to the VI, you see a lot of people, a lot of cars, a lot of traffic. And if you come to Ghana, then it becomes a global village if you're from Lagos. What was once primarily a commercial capital has evolved into a strategic energy hub with over 1 million of barrels being produced in the coast of this country. This is today's team resonates deeply with international, not just SPE, Nigeria or Lagos. Sustainable growth through gas is not an abstract concept anymore. It is a strategic necessity. I personally firmly believe that natural gas will remain central to Africa's energy future in the years to come. The discussions will be intense, I know. The data, sobering, and conclusion will be clear today and tomorrow. Energy sovereignty must sit at the heart of Africa's development agenda. Despite our vast resources base, yet still nearly 600 million Africans are without electricity. And let's not always confuse accessibility to availability. You can make your energy available, but if it's not accessible to the ordinary citizen, you have not achieved energy sovereignty that we are discussing today. With all the natural resources that we have in Africa, with Nigeria posing the highest, we believe that it's high time we took our energy sovereignty much more serious. And I'm happy with what you said. Let it not be a talk show. Let the 300 trillion cubic feet of gas that we have show something. Let it show beyond the tiers on the grid that we have in Nigeria. If I cannot be able to afford the tier 1 of the grid, then I have to get my generator and my diesel on standby when we have all this gas in stock. So yes, potential does not equal progress. Realizing the promise of gas requires investment, infrastructure, expansion, and a very important statement here is the regulatory clarity let our regulatory system be very clear for ordinary investor to jump on board, and long-term contract frameworks. For years, investment hesitancy slowed development in Africa. I can name so many cases, and not only even in West Africa. And we believe that sustainability growth through gas demand requires serious execution. It demands infrastructure that connects fuels to market. It demands transparent governance that builds investor confidence. It also demands local content development that ensures African professionals like you and I seated here will have a play in the game. SPE plays a very vital role by upholding technical excellence and professionalism, equipping engineers and other professionals, not necessarily technical, with the knowledge, networks, and the standards to deliver responsibly while promoting collaboration, global impact for local relevance, and environmental and social stewardship is very critical. So through SPE, we strengthen the technical foundation needed for sustainable growth. And I'm particularly very happy that any company that I visit across Africa and even beyond, and they have SPE members, it's always the case that those who are SPE members and are even volunteering are the best staff of the company. So no wonder your related companies have allowed you to come and sit here and learn from experts seated in front of me today. I also want to highlight the second edition of the SPE Africa Technology Conference in partnership with the Africa Gas Innovative Summit from the 16th to 18th June in Abidjan, and commend members of Lagos session and beyond, including your session director, who is serving religiously on the committee. I encourage all professionals, young professionals, businessmen to partake in this more important discussion, basically technical. And as we engage this week, let us commit to honest dialogue and live with practical strategies. Nigeria's oil and gas future depends on disciplined investment, competent execution, and sustained commitment to energy assets. Gas can drive sustainable growth, strengthen energy security, and support industrial development if managed wisely and aligned with African priorities. I appreciate the organizers of SPE Lagos Energy Week and commend the Lagos session for its continued leadership shown across Africa. And like I said, many other sessions are learning from you. I look forward to the discussion and partnerships ahead this week. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Riverson Opong, the Africa Regional Director for SPE International. Giving us the ARD's perspective to the Lagos Energy Week. Please give him another round of applause. You know, it's only in this country that you come to an event and somebody will bring you a piece of paper and say, this person did not pack well, let him go and repack. Thank God for the opportunity to MC in other countries, honestly, because sometimes you would think these things are normal. They are not normal. When you bring your car to a venue, park well. Don't be giving MC work. Please, nah. Now, they say your car is a black Ford Explorer. They say your plate number is AKD570B. They say you didn't park well. They say you should go and park well. Just park well. When they tell you where to park, obey them. If you don't obey them, I will lose 1 minute to tell you to go and repark. Help us to help you, please. Black Ford Explorer, please. No pay. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the beat for our remarks. And this time we're taking a deep dive into why we are here. We are here talking gas. Our theme, as been reminded by the ARD, is sustainable growth through gas, being energy security for Lagos, Nigeria, and West launched Gas Master Plan. Now, this one is one that is intended to help the company and indeed the nation drive a complete development across the entire value chain of our gas resource. And who better to talk to us this morning on that critical document and subsector of our industry than one who is overseeing that responsibility for NNPC, one who I call one of the finest stakeholder managers you could get in any sector or in any place. He has been CEO of many NNPC subsidiaries, even becoming Deputy Managing Director for one of Africa's most successfully run companies, NLNG. But currently, he's in charge of gas, power, and new energies. Please welcome Mr. Olalekan Ogunleye.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for having me. It's great to be in the city of energy, discussing energy, and I just want to start with special appreciation to the organizers of this event for such a well-thought-through theme, sustainable growth through gas, building energy security for Lagos, Nigeria, and West Africa. Stating the obvious, Lagos is the commercial heartbeat of Nigeria and of West Africa. And so if we get it right, we, by extension, get it right for the country and for the region. And it's a privilege to be here. I would like to start by delivering the best wishes of the leadership of NNPC, not just for the GCO, Engineer Bashir Bayo Ojulari, but the entire leadership of NNPC. We are fascinated by the theme and the topic specifically that I'm speaking upon, and so there was no way I was going to pass on this opportunity to be here today. So thank you for having me. And just, again, recognize the chairperson of Spe, Dr. Riverson Opong, the Commissioner for Energy, all the panelists, Chris, Bolaji, all industry participants. It's great to be together once again. Distinguished leaders of industry, government representative, esteemed colleagues, policymakers, international partners, and our vibrant Lagos energy community, it is my honor to address you at the 26th edition of the Lagos Energy Week. This year's theme, Sustainable Growth Through Gas, Building Energy Security for Lagos, Nigeria, and West Africa, reflects both the importance of our regional energy challenge and the immense opportunity before us all. Lagos, as the economic heartbeat of Nigeria, and indeed West Africa, sits at the front line of this transition, demanding reliable, affordable, and cleaner energy at a scale never seen before. For us at NNPC, we are fully aligned with the decade of gas in recognizing that Nigeria's economic prosperity is dependent on how effectively we can unlock and deploy our vast natural resources. The NNPC Gas Master Plan 2026, recently launched with national significance, sets the blueprint for accelerated gas development in order not to just realize, but to exceed the presidential mandate of gas production of 20 billion scf per day by 2027 and 12 billion scf per day by 2030. Today, I would like to highlight how this vision translates into action, impact, and inclusive growth, not just for Lagos, but for Nigeria and West Africa as well. We are all aligned that in Nigeria we do not lack for policies, documents, and all. And it's about execution. But first, I would like to give some context. Nigeria's first comprehensive gas master plan was introduced in the year 2008 as a strategic framework designed to shift the nation's gas sector from an underperforming, export-heavy industry towards one capable of driving domestic industrialization. The plan aimed to address three persistent challenges: inadequate gas supply, limited infrastructure, and a weak commercial framework. It sought to create a structured domestic gas market that could support power generation, manufacturing, and petrochemicals. The 2008 blueprint later became the foundation upon which the subsequent gas sector reforms and expansion programs were built. In 2021, however, the federal government declared the year 2021 to 2030 as Nigeria's decade of gas, signaling a renewed commitment to accelerate gas development as a national economic priority. This era emphasized on gas as a major decarbonization tool, an instrument for industrial growth, and a revenue generator for the country. It also aligned with Nigeria's energy transition goals and reinforced the need for infrastructure expansion, supply security, and commercialization. The decade of gas would become the bridge between the original gas master plan and its modern successor. On the 30th of January 2026, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited unveiled the NPC gas master plan after extensive engagement and collaboration with the industry. This launch marked a strategic shift from policy formulation to strict implementation assurance and disciplined execution. Stakeholders described it as an inflection point in Nigeria's energy utilization and industrialization agenda. At its core, the NNPC Gas Master Plan 2026 is simply an execution action document. I would like to touch on the levers for driving exponential growth, given it's at the core of the topic. NNPC Gas Master Plan recognizes gas as the backbone of national development, and its aspiration clearly sets out to build a gas sector capable of meeting Nigeria's domestic, regional, and export obligations with resilience, commerciality, and sustainability. The key levers are as following. Number one, gas production and reserves growth. The NNPC Gas Master Plan affirms Nigeria's position as one of the world's most gas-rich nations with proven reserves of 210 TCF and an upside potential that is estimated to be up to 600 TCF, indicating vast unexploited gas resources that can support long-term expansion. At the core of the NNPC Gas Master Plan is a yearly work program geared at delivering exponential growth in gas production, monetization, even beyond the presidential gas production targets. And so, at the very core of the Gas Master Plan, it's a yearly work program that would be delivered to achieve the targets. The second is demand and supply balancing. The plan explicitly highlights the need to close long-standing gaps between availability and utilization by prioritizing both domestic and export demand streams. It stresses domestic and export market flexibility as a key mechanism to balance gas flows across the sectors, including power generation, industry, gas-based industries and LNG export markets. A critical dimension of this is inherent flexibility, which ensures that gas volumes earmarked for projects that are protected can be redirected to others where FID is imminent. And so this tension between export requirements and domestic requirements evaporates because it's all of the above. We need to do the export projects, and also we need to leverage on gas for industrial development in the country. The third is improved gas monetization and market expansion. The Gas Master Plan is a market-led gas development project. Its major departure point is leveraging on credible commercial opportunities to stimulate gas development rather than stipulations or mere target setting. So gone are the days where the major leverage is regulatory stipulation or just, throwing around numbers. The plan forward is to consistently track not just gas production, but monetization, with gas monetization targets of 70% in the year 2027 and 80% by 2030, as against the current approximate 60% gas monetization performance. And so we're not just looking at production numbers, we are looking at the commercial development itself and gas monetization essentially. The hub concept and shared infrastructure is the fourth lever that I would like to talk about. The industry alignment around collaboration for cost competitiveness is central to the NNPC Gas Master Plan. It emphasizes a strategic shift from scattered stand-alone gas development to hub-based development aimed at improving gas development efficiency, reducing project costs, and accelerating commercialization by clustering gas assets around shared processing and transportation infrastructure. So the plan is to build on the collaboration and the partnership that has existed in the gas sector to make sure that we translate that into, doing things better, improve cost savings, and just generally improving commerciality. The first is deliverability assurance. Participants in the gas sector have been fortunate to benefit from the prioritization of gas by successive governments, illustrated in the development of the 1.1 billion scf per day ELPS-2 pipeline, the 2.2 billion scf per day AKK, that's the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano pipeline, the Escravos ODD and ODD Warri expansion pipeline, each 1.2 billion scf per day, as well as other strategic gas infrastructure projects. The NNPC Gas Master Plan 2026 will enable the earliest development and delivery of national and regional pipelines, such as ELPS-3. So there is indeed a plan to do an ELPS-3 because by our reckoning, the ELPS-1 and 2 are already oversubscribed. And this shows the progress that we've made in the gas sector in Nigeria. Aside from the ELPS-3, we have the Trans-Nigerian Gas Pipeline, the TNGP, and most importantly, the African Atlantic Gas Pipeline, which I'll speak about in a bit. So it's not just gas production, it's making sure that deliverability will not be an issue. LPG expansion is the sixth lever, and on a simplistic level, NNPC, via the plan, has launched a national LPG expansion initiative aimed at making LPG a commodity for the general populace rather than the middle class. So we want LPG to be a product of the masses, not just for people in this room. Attainment of the presidential gas production target itself translates to a game changer in the quest to grow LPG production to 5 million tons per annum against current production level of approximately 1.5 million tons per annum. And so for us, LPG represents the low-hanging fruit when we talk about our clean energy ambition, because it's using clean cooking to displace firewood, to displace other, poor cooking alternatives. Additionally, the NNPC LPG expansion initiative targets production and distribution of 20 million additional LPG cylinders countrywide by 2030. These cylinders will not just be in the 12.5 kilogram range, but we will make it, fungible such that you will have 3 kilogram with stoves, 6 kilogram, and the pricing points will be more affordable. Just like you have 500 recharge gauge, 1,000 and 1,500. The seventh is industry. Is gas-based industry growth. Nigeria in relation to the gas-based industries, we are absolutely because we see the prospects and we see the prospects for employment generation, foreign direct investment, tax to federal government, etc. Nigeria has made significant progress in its quest to become a global gas-based industry hub, with approximately 6.5 million tons per annum of installed urea capacity. Nigeria sits in the global top 15 for installed urea capacity currently. The NNPC gas master plan aims to, however, unleash the full potential of the gas-based industry segment of the gas sector through the alternate gas pricing framework, which is aimed to position Nigeria among the top 5 global hubs for gas-based industry by 2030. The win-win flip side of the foregoing is that the gas-based industry sector will become a major contributor in the attainment of the presidential target to attract $60 billion by 2030 to the energy sector. And we think comfortably that the gas-based industry can do more than 75% of that. The second to the last is mini LNG and CNG, compressed natural gas expansion. The NNPC gas master plan positions mini LNG and CNG as critical pillars for expanding Nigeria's domestic gas utilization, strengthening energy security, and supporting the transition to cleaner fuels across transportation, industry, and decentralized power markets. NNPC gas plan will showcase its commitment to de-risk gas supply for all investors in mini LNG plants and CNG mother stations. As some of you can remember, last year we had a specific instance where we did the groundbreaking for 5 mini LNG plants in Ajaokuta. And under the leadership of the president of the country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it's comfortable and noteworthy that the CNG adoption, the presidential initiative on CNG has caught on. And daily we are engaging investors coming forward voluntarily, investing in mother stations, daughter stations, mini LNG plants. And we're talking about gas utilization expansion countrywide. And the yardstick for a good policy is when you see private sector voluntarily investing. And this is what we're seeing with the mini LNG and the CNG, and kudos to the government for driving this aggressively. Finally, implementation excellence and assurance. NNPC Gas Master Plan 2026 marks a deliberate shift from policy drafting to rigorous execution-focused delivery. embedding mechanisms to guarantee disciplined implementation, transparency, commercial viability, and sector-wide coordination. This implementation assurance approach ensures that Nigeria's vast gas potential is translated into measurable long-term economic value. And so it's implementation, implementation, implementation. Export gas projects. The economic contribution of Nigeria's prime gas export project, the Nigerian LNG, cannot be overemphasized. The NNPC gas master plan therefore prioritizes gas delivery to NLNG 27, as well as potential trains 8 and 9. And so it's anticipating the gas requirements of future expansion trains and providing a pathway for gas supply assurance to NLNG. Another project that will potentially benefit from the NNPC gas master plan 2026 is the OKLNG project, the Olokola LNG, which is currently being repositioned for effective progression and delivery without losing sight of the lessons of the past. The plan builds on the progress made in relation to gas supply to West African Gas Pipeline Company, the WAPCO, by enabling optimal gas commercialization on the West African Gas Pipeline, the WACP. So a major dimension to the gas master plan is growing the regional market and making sure that we, maximize throughput on the WACP. For outlines a gas supply pathway for Atlantic gas pipelines, such that this African economic integration and advancement project, with footprints in 16 African economies, and deliver gas to Europe on a competitive basis. And so it's not just developing a pipeline, a regional gas pipeline project for its own sake. It's making sure that these projects can compete effectively with alternatives like OKLNG, like NLNG, and get gas to the market competitively. In closing, I would like to reiterate the key messages. The first is that the NNPC Gas Master Plan is simply an execution document. It's implementation focused. It's not just an amalgam of aspirations, targets, and plans, but a gas development execution document based on a yearly work plan that is practical, credible, and navigable. My second key message is that efficiency and cost optimization is at the core of the NNPC Gas Master Plan. So it's not an abstract document. It's deepening collaboration to develop cost competitiveness. The third closing message is that the focus will continue to be on work plan delivery excellence. And priority is on coordinated execution of the work plan and assured delivery of the signed work programs for gas production, while ensuring that gaps are effectively closed or mitigated. The fourth is that we've created a focused platform for delivery. As most of you will know, the Decade of Gas has been successful because there is a little hub driving progress. And so for the Gas Master Plan, we have an implementation excellence team that will assure implementation based on key milestones, proactively identify areas requiring intervention, provide unlocks and identify enablers, and finally, provide interface between the respective industry participants, operators, and other business units. The second to the last is that the Gas Master Plan is about market-driven gas development. So it prioritizes organic gas commercialization, leveraging value attraction and expansion, stimulation of significant GBI expansion, payment performance, and moves us towards the willing buyer, willing seller scenario, which is what all of us want for the gas sector. Finally, the NMPC Gas Master Plan 2026 would ensure the delivery of the gas to prosperity agenda of the federal government of Nigeria under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and ensure that the nation's gas resources translate to improve living conditions for the good people of Nigeria. We are all witnesses to the fact that the exceptional people of Nigeria are tired of recitation of data for the sake of data. They want the gas resources of this country to translate into better living condition, better economic outcome, and indeed prosperity for the great people of Nigeria. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
EPP, Gas Power, New Energy for NNPC Limited. Thank you. Giving us that tone-setting keynote for the panel that will follow on NNPC's Gas Master Plan and the thinking behind the Gas Master Plan and all that Nigerians will benefit from it. I think concluding on that note of ensuring that Nigerians are not just hearing rhetorics, but that they are seeing actual results is NNPC's commitment with this Gas Master Plan. It's quite commendable. Please give him another round of applause. So we're going straight into the panel now. I want to make way for the panel to take center stage. Because of size of our stage. So, to the panel I go. First off, on our panel, panel is zeroing in upstream gas in Nigeria, scaling production for regional energy security and sustainable growth. Our first panelist who will take his seat on the panel, technology. Okay, it's industry expert whose career has been marked by diverse roles across both downstream and upstream sectors, and of course has supported crude supply and trading development in his previous role before his current role, where he is leading his company's effort to expand domestic gas growth and enhance the gas energy value chain in Nigeria. Please welcome the Managing Director of Shell Nigeria Gas, Mr. Ralph Bo. You are sitting on the second chair. Right. Joining him, right there, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Joining him on the panel, you know, until this morning, I didn't realize that I own a technology center in America. This morning, I just found that. Because our next panelist is one who, prior to his current engagement, was Vice President of Downstream Technology and Services within the Chevron Technical Center and Site Director for the Richmond Technology Center. I didn't know until this morning. I just found out myself. Anyways, currently he leads commercial activities for Chevron Nigeria and Mid-Africa business that includes evolving the portfolio for competitive growth and maximizing value of liquid and gas production and stewarding underlying performance improvements. Please welcome Director of Commercial for Chevron, Chris Jablonski. Chris, you're welcome. Now I know, Chris, now I know. Please, to his immediate right, Chris is your seat. to his immediate right. Okay, our next, his immediate right. Yes, that's it, his immediate right. Our next panelist is also an industry expert with over 15 years of business development experience, pursuing upstream and midstream opportunities in North America, Middle East, Asia, and Africa. Currently, he's overseeing ExxonMobil Commercial and Development in Nigeria as the GM Commercial. Please welcome Faizan Hassan. Our next panelist is one who, in his previous role, helped manage the Northfield Qatar asset, which is the largest gas field in the world. And in that previous role, he held different positions for his company, Shell, and currently he is the managing director for Ano Gas Processing Company Limited, which is an incorporated JV between NNPC and Seplat Energy PLC. Please welcome Engineer Effiong Udofia Okon, FNSE. Right, completing the list to his to Faizan's immediate right. Faizan's immediate right, yes, to Faizan's immediate right. Fantastic. Completing the list of panelists is another Shell alumni, one who has decades of experience that spans the entire hydrocarbon value chain, from technical and commercial operations to safety, environment, and strategic leadership. And currently, she is the first female chief executive officer of Midwestern Oil and Gas Company Limited, and a leading indigenous independent energy company. Please welcome Engineer Elozino Olanio. And now, yes, to Effie's right, of course. He's right. And now to help ask the questions, and as they say, pick the brilliant minds of this expert on our panel, is another brilliant man himself, one who has been working in the energy sector for over 10 decades, supporting oil and gas majors and national oil companies and independents, and including government, in Nigeria and across the globe on a range of topics that includes operational improvement, organizational change, measures, integrations, and corporate strategy. He is a partner at McKinsey. Please welcome Oliver Onyekweli. Of course, your seat is next to me. Right, Oliver? Yours.
All right, thank you so much, Richmond, and good morning, SPE. What an honor to be with you today. Great topic, great discussion, very timely, and we're joined this morning by an exceptional panel, right? We've got leaders representing all sections of the gas value chain. We've got our commercial leaders, we've got our upstream operators here. We've got folks from the IOCs and the indigenous, all of whom represent what it means to go from reservoir to revenue, which I think is at the heart of EVP's comments, right? We need to make money out of this gas. We need to unleash this gas for the benefit of Nigeria. So our topic for this panel will be upstream gas in Nigeria, sustainable production for regional energy security and sustainable growth. And over the next hour or so, and let's see how we do, we might leave some time for some Q&A if we do well on time, so we'll try for that. We're gonna explore the theme, and we're gonna try to do it through three ways, right? So first, we'll look and see from our experts whether Nigeria is truly positioned to scale gas from an investment standpoint. I think that's an important discussion. I think EVP said it well when he said the yardstick is ultimately not about policy, it's about, is private sector willing to invest? So let's talk about that. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the commercial and infrastructure frameworks that will actually drive the scaling of gas production in this country. And third, we're going to try and explore a little bit the policy angle, right? What policy considerations are needed to scale gas in Nigeria and regionally as well. So I think it's been said at some length, different speakers this morning, that Nigeria's gas resource is prolific. It really is. You know, we've seen numbers, I think the EV you've even mentioned, upside of up to 600 TCF. We're truly blessed, but the abundance of the gas has never been our problem. It's never been the issue. It's always been about how do we translate, you know, monetize our molecules. And, you know, historically, we've had a number of these challenges, whether it's infrastructure, underinvestment. In some cases, we have to be honest with ourselves that economics for gas development were difficult when you stack them up against international competitors, right? We all have portfolios. And in other cases, we had a gas to power value chain that had struggled and in some cases eroded confidence of the investor. But we're now in a moment of opportunity, right? I actually think maybe we should say it honestly, we've even given it a second chance, right? We have an amazing chance now. The world is turning its attention on gas. All this geopolitical uncertainty has actually created a window for us to develop gas and actually fund it as well. And we're already seeing the benefits of that. You know, the EVP spoke about the decade of gas. We can already look at the wins, right? We've got FIDs happening upstream, and we thank God for that. We've had HI from Shell, and we're grateful for that. We have Ubeta, Iseni, a number of others. If you look at our infrastructure, we're making progress. We're really close on OB3. We've got ELPS progressing, AKK progressing. So the ingredients, we can start to feel them. They're tangible now. And also, not to speak lightly of the fact that our federal government has made official commitments to address legacy debt that has held our sector back. And these are the things that we see as the tailwinds that we are benefiting from. But the question for the panel today we're going to explore is whether or not these developments represent, you know, incremental, isolated improvements, or can we say confidently, as investors, as private sector, that these are truly, you know, momentum-shifting unlocks that are going to drive scale. So the issue now is not about plans, it's about execution, implementation. We heard those words, that's what we need. So let's explore this topic, and we'll get right into it. I'm going to start with a little bit of a focus around investment readiness. Okay, I'm going to talk about scaling gas. And Ralph, if you'd be so kind, we start with you. So first, I'd love to hear from a midstream and distribution perspective, right? Is Nigeria's gas challenge today more about feed gas availability, or is it more about reliable delivery, complex structures, demand aggregation? How would you characterize that challenge?
Thank you, Oliver. So first of all, I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to be part of this conversation, to say that I'm happy to be here. To your question, I think I would start by saying that it's a chain problem. And what I mean by that is, again, the gas molecule flows through a chain, and every link in that chain has to work for the gas to go from the supply to the customer end. So having said that, today, the choke point in that chain, which again is not something that's not known, is known and is being worked, is the midstream constraint, and of course the market design. Why do I say that? To paint the picture, in the same country, we have in the east and the Niger Delta, gas is being flared. I think about half a BCF or something like that is being flared. But when you come to the west, the same gas is also being rationed. You know, and then the West at least have some gas that's being rationed. If you go to the North, the industries there are being starved of the same gas molecules. So that tells you that even though I'm not saying that there's no problem in the upstream supplies end, but the fact is that the gas that's being produced today is not being fully delivered into the market. So that points to points to where the industry should focus in trying to resolve that problem. And I think like I said, it's a problem that's already recognized. The EVP and his team and the entire industry is focused on creating that connectivity, which is the OB3 project between the East and the West, that makes sure that the excess gas we have in the East is able to flow to the West, for industrial growth. And of course, the AKK project as well, takes care of, unlocking the industries in the North as well. But of course, AKK should come as well with midline compression so that the gas will get to the customers there at the right pressure. So again, like I said, it's something that is recognized, is being worked, but as a midstream operator, I think a message to the EVP and everybody who has a role to play with this, on this is that that is the focus area is right, but all of us are holding our breath and waiting for when these projects will eventually come to fruition so that we can see the gas molecules moving to where they need to be. The second bit around it is the market structure. And again, so that speaks to the contracting constraints and the payment discipline. Yeah. And I'm going to use power, because we have a very weak payment structure in the power sector. And the reason why power is important is, again, we know in the industry that about 70% of the gas that comes to the domestic market goes to the power sector. So whatever happens in that power sector determines, what happens in the domestic market. The situation where we have the fact that we have the structure around even if we have an inflation and the debt, was it 4 trillion or thereabout, is settled, as long as that structural problem is not solved, that allows discipline, payment discipline to be I think in summary, I would say that gas molecules are not sedimented.
Yes.
They flow to where they get paid, which is why the same gas molecule that is reluctant to come to the domestic market will go knocking an LNG door even at a price. Basically tells you that the price is important, but that's assurance that payment, when gas flows, payment will be made, is actually more important. So the chain has to be looked at, and also the structure of the market also has to be looked at.
Very clear. Thanks for that. And I think I love the challenge, especially on your second point around. Let's be glad that we've seen movement from federal government in certain areas. We're grateful, but it's not enough. There's a structural thing that needs to be looked at for this to be sustainable. So I think we take the challenge. But let's give it a bit upstream, right? And Chris, you and I were speaking earlier. You're in an organization that is long opportunity, you have many opportunities. What conditions make upstream gas investment in Nigeria competitive within Chevron's global capital allocation framework? Maybe we could get another mic up on the stage.
1, 2. Oh, look at that. Fancy. All right. Thanks. And so, as you rightly point out, when a company like Chevron looks at opportunities to redeploy its capital, it really comes down to competitiveness. In all regions need to compete. And in the case of gas, we look for really 3 basic things to really identify areas that we want to lean into and grow. And so first, I'll start with upstream. It's resource that can be developed at a competitive cost and at scale. In the case of Nigeria, check the box. We clearly have that. Second, we look for infrastructure. Midstream infrastructure that has the capacity and the reliability to get the molecules or the products to our plan. Even during a short time here, I've seen a lot of progress. But we have more work to do, both from a capacity perspective and reliability perspective. I can't sort of understate the importance of reliability, especially in the context of gas, because when you have unreliable infrastructure, it impacts the upstream operations as well as the downstream operations, and it adds up to a significant cost. So that's the second box. Finally, it's the market. And there's different ways to measure the market, but in real simple terms, the way we think about it in Chevron is the realized price. That accounts for payments as well. This is an area where we are making progress in Nigeria and in this region, but we have more work to do. I can share sort of on a global level, when Chevron looks at the realized price of all the gas it produces around the world, Nigeria is in the bottom third in terms of realized price. And so in some ways, that can be viewed as a challenge, but I like to think of it as an opportunity, because ultimately we have room to improve in that space. And some of the actions that you can take in that particular space is to continue to facilitate just development of large demand centers that have the technical capability and the financial capacity to essentially be a demand and ultimately be sustainable and viable. So that's one. And then second, it really goes back to that infrastructure comment. It is having the infrastructure in place to get the molecules to the highest value market, or where the demand is really needed the most, if you will. So those are the three basic criteria. Clearly, we're really advantaged and far along in that first one in terms of the resource potential. Infrastructure and the market is coming along. What I would say, though, is from a gas development perspective, Chevron used Nigeria as a growth opportunity. The role of our business here, and we have a long-standing business here, is one of growth, and we're going to continue to partner with the various stakeholders to try to realize that potential. I will highlight from a regional perspective, we've really had some recent success in some of your neighboring countries, both Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, and it really demonstrates what's possible when you check all three boxes. So we've recently made some significant milestones as it relates to gas development in Equatorial Guinea. Made some progress on cross-border gas that has the potential to actually contribute to sustainability and growth in Nigeria as well.
I think it in some ways echoes a little bit Ralph's the molecules have to go where the price is available. But it's good that we're looking at Nigeria as an attractive destination. Maybe riding on the back of that, I'd like to take another perspective from one of our majors, of course. So has a big funnel of opportunities. How much of Nigeria's scalable gas opportunity rests in new developments versus optimizing existing mature assets?
So I'm going to borrow some words from the executive VP that spoke earlier today, and say that I think, in our view, we're going to need all of the above solutions if we're going to really meet the kind of vision and national aspiration that we have. You've heard the aspiration of 12 billion cubic feet per day by 2030. That's over 50% growth. And to meet that kind of aspiration, you're going to need to tap into both existing mature assets that can be optimized for gas production, as well as new developments that have not yet been brought on stream. Now, with that third our aspiration, we're going to need to tap into all three of those resources. In addition, I think we're going to have to embrace a broad variety of contributors to that kind of growth profile. For example, in Nigeria, we're blessed with a strong suite of indigenous companies, and they have a big role to play in meeting this aspiration. They bring local solutions, they bring homegrown innovation, and they bring a deep understanding of the communities and the markets that they operate in. And then in terms of the larger scale, more complex projects, you're going to need majors like ExxonMobil that are bringing global processes, significant scale, and fast capital deployment, as well as cutting-edge technology. So I think it really, to meet the growth aspirations of our industry, it's going to need to be a all the above solution, both across resource types as well as across contributors within the industry, to make sure that we're realizing the vision that we have all set for ourselves as an industry.
Looking at a holistic approach across both development cycles, clearly, I think the upstream potential is there. Let's go back, Effie, to maybe now the midstream is, it's there, so how do we bring it to market and monetize? And we all have to congratulate Effie, don't we? Because we know you are blessed to have achieved first gas. I think it was even just, was it 2 weeks ago or 3? What a wonderful achievement for ANO. Effie, please, what does that tell us? What does that important milestone tell us about Nigeria's readiness to scale gas production?
Oops, let me check it. And thank you, Spe Lagos. This is on Cape Town, Africa Energy Week, Spe Lagos. Okay, thanks. so well done. I know, Deepa, you started this last year, right? And you guys have sustained it. I say well done, and we've got to be able to tell our own story. So from the perspective, Oliver, like you mentioned, ANO just achieved first gas 16 January. It's been a very, let's say, roller coaster journey. But, this is not about projects. Is when you get to the finish line, you look back and you feel the pains you've gone through. So it's been quite extraordinary achievement for us. So coming back to the question really is, does ANO pretty much demonstrate that Nigeria can really scale up? I think it's about scale. When we talk about 300 million scope of gas, it's from a scale point of view. When I was in Qatar, my asset was 3 BCF of gas, so just one asset. So scale is a relative thing. But notwithstanding, I think the point you raise is truly, if I look at what I see going forward, whether we're ready to scale up, I'll say yes, we are ready to scale up. And you heard Ogalekon's point. It's about the action, right? Implement. And I like that we're tired of PowerPoint slides and policies and debate. But coming to the crux of the matter, I think, let's look at the basic first. Africa will be about 4.5 billion people by 2100. Do we know that? And Nigeria, potentially 500 million people. Is that scary? That comes with enormous energy demand. The energy demand today, if you look at data centers and AI, is just unbelievable. The amount of energy that's required to power that AI future that's ahead of us, if you go through whether from renewable energy or fossil fuel. So for us, I think, yes, I think Nigeria is ready. With the gas master plan, you just heard about Nigeria gas master plan, I experience in ANO. But a few things that I'll just talk through very quickly to just confirm whether we're actually ready to scale up. First one for me, I think, is a journey, because for you to scale up gas, you got to look at the end-to-end value chain. From gas molecules in the reservoir to electrons, if you're going to the power space, or to petrochemicals or whatever, that entire value chain needs to be scaled up. Okay? It means drilling a lot of more wells on the upstream side, more processing on the midstream side, distribution network, all the way to the off-taker side. The problem with gas is you can't store gas. You can store oil. People produce oil and store oil. If you all remember COVID, oil price went on down. People were storing oil all over the world, but you really cannot. So for you to scale up that end-to-end infrastructure value chains to work, you need the economy, you need the fiscals, you need to work, you need funding. And first for I'll touch on a few points that show that what to scale up, you need true partnership. So this was made possible by NNPC Limited and separate forming an IJV called AGPC. And I always commend NNPC back in 2018 when they wrote the first equity check, $210 million, before even Seplat also put the equity check on the table. So partnership comes by first how to fund it. So it was NNPC and Seplat. Then we got consortium of 7 banks that didn't raise the debt. So from a funding point of view, for large-scale project, for you to scale up, you need a lot of partnership and a lot of collaboration. $1 billion might be small money for IOCs like Chevron and Shell, but it's a lot of money for independent independence. And I must tell you, that's one thing we found out is very useful. So scaling up requires that partnership, how you fund the project. The other one I also would like to talk about is what we see is around how do you also work with regulators. So we're sort of stuck between a midstream company, you rely on an upstream company to drill the wells, produce the gas, right? And that's the renaissance operating the upstream part. To get gas from the customer. So it partners in you as right? And that partnership, you no matter what is your all this special pipeline kind of infrastructure needs to also be supported. On the regulatory framework, I'll say the regulators have been quite supportive. NMDPRA, if I were cutting in, I would let NMDPRC or NMDPRA, and there's a fight in between. But I think that's behind us because it's very clear in the PIA that if you're a midstream business, it's got to be under NMDPRA jurisdiction. But that was one difficult part we went through as well, but we've gone through that, and we've gotten a lot of support from the NMDPRA regulators. I think one or two last points for me is around, so if you put all this together, the other thing also notice for you to scale up, gas is a bit of a chicken and egg. Do you want to wait until the market is developed before you invest, or invest and then the market now develops around? That's what we tend to see. Before the head of the state, of course, the governor is quite vocal. They had the economic summits, now they have this energy free trade. So it's all premised on the fact that AGPC has been able to demonstrate that with investment in that plan, a lot of industries that have been around Imo State. There's a plan to build an industrial park, there's a Russian energy free trade zone. So you have a lot of almost everything, I get calls. People want, some people don't even have a clue, know they are left from the right, but they want gas and they want to invest. And I said, look, if you want to build a chemical plant or a power plant, it takes at least 3 to 5 years, right? You then ask, what roadmap? What's the plan to fund it? Where you will is around, look, with gas can actually transform the life of a lot of people and live a lot of poverty. The mention is not just lean gas to east-west, but also LPG for the local economy, so we can display biomass. And process we're actually helping with decarbonization, which is still an issue. Gas is not green, but gas emits emission than oil. And that's why there's that global acceptance now that gas is a destination fuel and no longer a transition fuel. So for us, just to summarize, I think Nigeria is right on the path of scaling up. All the elements are in place. We have all good things on our favor policy, but it's also got to be a long-term play. The problem I have is as far as we don't have disruption or changes on this start-stop, then you really can't scale up. But scaling up takes time. Those are my insights.
Thanks, Effie. Yeah, what an encouraging message, right? I think he's painted the picture of the right building blocks in place. And Effie, I know you and I spoke in the past. I mean, this investment amount, just in midstream alone, we think it's north of $20 billion across not just the trunk line, but as you said, even the processing infrastructure. We've got a gap there, distribution infrastructure. It is going to take partnerships to bring all that to the fore. So thank you for that. So maybe as we move to Elo, right? I think Elo is just so important. I think we're all so excited about what we see in Nigeria. We see this change where our indigenous companies are taking a leadership role in ramping up production, especially onshore, and and taking their place in our basin. Now, as the Midwest looks into the future, also about how you see the role of gas, right? And what would it take in this ecosystem to make gas a meaningful part of your strategy for Midwestern going forward?
I have to take the question again, because from here, it's actually very poor. Yeah? Difficult to hear me from here.
Okay.
So yeah, just project more.
Let me try again. Yeah, it's a little, the mics are a bit tricky, guys. But in a sense, Elo, where I'm going is, if you think about Western, 5 years ago today, I mean, focus mainly on the oil side, but as you look to the future, right? As you look to the future, how do you see the role of gas for Midwestern? And what would it take for gas to become an exciting vector for your future growth, for your business?
Okay, great. So today, as we speak, in Oilfield, in the state, and part of what we have been able to demonstrate in our past 20 years of production is the fact that we understand stability, we understand collaboration. Right? We have been able to bring together oil companies in the area, provide infrastructure to enable them get value out of their assets. We want to take that history into the future. And from what we are hearing today, the EPP has spoken around the master plan, which for me is exciting. While today I'm Midwestern, I do have a history with gas. I ran gas commercialization for in my previous life. So I see the opportunities that the gas master plan opens for indigenous companies like Midwestern. We are looking at developing gas, we are looking at playing gas, and in previous years, the challenge, just like Effie alluded to, the chicken and the egg. Yeah, you have the capital, but is there a credible market? You have a credible market, but is there a reliable evacuation system? Right? There's a reliable evacuation system. You have capital. So at the end of the day, the challenge is really not in one of those things. And I would like to shake the table a bit to say, as long as we continue to look at those individual pieces, capital, evacuation, the market, as three individual elements, we really never will solve the puzzle, because we need to look at it as one. Yeah? If you alluded to it as a chicken and egg situation, if you do not have one, you don't have the other. But I like to look at it spiritually like the Trinity, right? There actually is just one problem we have. It's one problem, and it needs one solution. And as we go into the future, where in the next 2 years, I see a Midwestern producing gas into the market. Again, we will be bringing into that market our knowledge, we'll bring in our expertise, we'll bring our collaboration to see how do we start small and learn from that small and then go big. How do we leverage on all of the initiatives that government is putting in place today? How do we leverage on all of the initiatives in the power sector that allows us not to put gas into grid, right? You can play, I just gave the example around what's going on in our state. How can we, in Delta State, use that as our source of revenue? These are the innovative things that we see that will enable us as Midwestern be bold to say, this is bankable, this is something that we can do, this is how we can actually take our molecules from the ground to a commercial solution that will bring energy to the people. Because it all comes down into one solution. It's not just one thing. It's around taking energy from the ground to the people. That is commercial for me as Midwestern.
Super. Thank you, Elo. I think what another encouraging message. We hear that our independents that are here are going to be looking at gas, and I love the challenge you put for us, Elo, is let's not keep these things, these issues, whether it's evacuation or if it's capital, are part of the same problem. And so I think, to EVP's point, this is where the gas master plan can help. And second thing you said, and maybe we'll get to it in a minute as we get into the discussion around how do you have local solutions for your gas? You talked about Delta State. Is Delta State an avenue for you to monetize? Can you do it regionally in a decentralized way? Is a very interesting strategy. So if we sort of accept then that the investment case for gas is improving, which it seems to be, the question then becomes: is the market ready to absorb it commercially? And I'd love for us to now go to that vector of the discussion. And Ralph, I'm going to start with you again, because I think you started down this path, and I'd love to get your thoughts. What kind of commercial arrangements or partnerships, okay, are needed across the gas value chain to help scale domestic gas distribution and unlock industrial growth in Nigeria?
There are already different kinds of partnerships that exist. So, for instance, Shell Nigerian Gas, we are in partnership with NGML and NPC Gas Marketing Limited, where we built, operated, and transferred after 20 years the asset to NGML, and currently we're just the operator. Okay. So we operate, and then we share benefit. So that's partnership in the sector. Sometime late last year, the EVP actually invited the different partners into a workshop, into a brainstorming session, and it basically just asked us to work on different brainstorm on different issues. And the issue of partnership came up, and there was this innovative partnership arrangement that we talked about, and I think it's something that what look about partnership between upstream and the distribution entity. And why is it necessary? Because upstream companies started off essentially as companies, and required points in as a because the production and monetization hardware of gas is more complicated. The oil is very straightforward: explore, produce, sell, and defense. But for gas, like if he said, you have to line everything up.
Yes.
So when you even talk about the NAP, for instance, it means you have to have a line of sight in the market. You don't take FID. And again, I've been on the side of defense. In one of my previous roles, which LO also did, we actually did roles back to back together. One of the major challenges we had in taking FID for an application is line of sight to the market. Exactly, that line of sight to the market was. But so again, this is where the partnership now comes in. So if we go back to the NAG situation, because of that challenge, the struggle that upstream companies have in finding that line of sight to the market, they tend to grab the first opportunity that comes. So one big player shows up and take 100 million off, and they sign the contract. But eventually down the road, to operate the contract, the cost of not something that the Australians have in their DNA, if I put it this way. And to just show you the difference, Shell Nigeria Gas, we have about 150 customers. So we operate about 150 contracts. And on a monthly basis, we operate those contracts to make sure that the scale in the volume of that goes to customers is 1.5 million a day. Unlike 50 to 100 million. But the 0.5 million a day, there is that distance to operationalize the contract and to get the customers to pay. Right now, like that. So we don't have the same problem of the upstream companies have where they hold for years before the government get and then get some money back. So if you have that partnership between the upstream operator and the distribution company, both sides will focus on their core business. The distribution companies are very good at monetization. They manage the elements of the value chain, bring money back to the upstream, give them the certainty that they require, take the produce and just bring gas to the surface. I think the name that was given to that partnership is distribution service. So the distribution company provides a service to the upstream company. Upstream company focuses on the upstream operation, and the distribution company focuses on market, which is their core business, which is their specialization. And that kind of partnership will solve a lot of the problem that we talked about that the upstream companies tend to experience. And for the distribution company, they get the benefit of the scale. I would say again, one of the things we can see with a part where the power companies are handed over to distribution companies to manage. I guarantee you that the distribution companies will follow through, operationalize those contracts, and get the payments. So that's a novel idea, but I think it's the kind of thinking that we require in the industry. Where there is the different segments of the country of the industry collaborate together, where each party focuses on an area to make sure that the money from the option.
Thanks, Ralph. Is this easier to hear? Okay, there's an issue with these headsets, I think. Can you hear me over there? All right. Thanks, Ralph. So I'm hearing, you know, if you look at the different segments of the value chain, it's in smart commercial discipline across both will be a key unlock, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Effie, I want to jump all the way back to you, okay? Because you started the conversation, and I think you also acknowledged a little bit EDP's execution drumbeat, right? And so as you think back to Anno and the journey that you went through, you know, what would you say were the most significant challenges in delivering a large-scale gas processing project of that nature? You know, was it a commercial issue? Was it a technical issue? Was it a coordination issue? And I ask this because, you know, we want more investment, right? And we need to know, you know, what we face and how to tackle that.
The question is, what was the biggest challenge in building Anno, right? So that, because I do this audio finish. So he did ask, was it commercial, was it technical, was it coordinated, right? I think for us, if you look at the biggest problem, I always see this to my finance folks don't like to spend money, right? And when it comes to project, you're spending CapEx. And the biggest nightmare to finance is, are you going to come on costs, schedule? Because finance hates lack of predictability. Whereas solve the problem is right. So when the source office guy says a problem to see, what does it mean? Project I'm P10, P50, P90 schedule. It doesn't make sense in finance. So, but on the most serious note, I think the biggest challenge for us is actually technical, building the plant. If you just cast your mind back, I think you see a lot of independents tend to buy assets from IOCs, right? IOCs have built all this infrastructure. It's easy to buy an asset, you just keep running it, do a few infill drilling, keep your haulage full, and you can do that. When it comes to actually building a plant from scratch, it's really complex, especially in Nigeria. So for me, the biggest risk is the technical challenge. It takes time to build project delivery capability. If you look at the IOC, it's always a global organization that goes around the world with contractors or whatever model you use. You can imagine ADP were new, just from 2017. Company, secondary figures from NNPC and Seplat, right? No project delivery standard, no processes, nothing. So you have to rely on all the great heads that have come in with a lot of contractors and vendors to help us. Of course, you go to the shebang, studies, FDP, base for design, you go to feed, DD, then you go to the market, contracting, procurement, materials, and then start construction. So the technical bit for me is the most difficult and most challenging. And a few contexts I'd like to share based on the Anno experience. And don't get me wrong, projects always have challenges. I worked in Europe, it's the same challenges everywhere. The only problem is Nigeria now has a little bit of additional challenge around the non-technical risk, which we call the surface issues. It's never about the subsurface. So outside the place, 40 CF of gas, 2 million barrels of condensate. I mean, it can be better than that. So the issue wasn't really subsurface. The issue was actually building that. And if I go back, as independents, we also want to do things cheap. That's how we're able to build this plant, probably half the price, and IOC will build the plant. But that then comes with a lot of challenges. We didn't want to do the EPC model, so we did what you call the split sum. Split sum means you break your contract into different packages. For us, it was about 6 packages. And then you need a large project management team to manage all the interfaces. Okay? Of course, that comes with its own complexity. Where in Imo State, Asa is in Ohaji Egama local government area, infested with criminals all over the place, kidnappers, all that. In fact, when my colleagues went for the groundbreaking, there was human skull all over the place. So you can imagine what a terrible place it is. But today is now good, it's inhabitable, people are there, there's businesses. So about that building that plant in a place where on Monday, sit at home, iPod, you can't work, then how do you get to site from all your vendors? It's really, really complex. So for me, that technical challenge, I would say, I must say, is the biggest one we've gone through. And the other challenge I think we also faced was around interest rates. So we took 2019, Naira then was single digit, right? And interest rate went to almost 28% from CBN. Then COVID came in 2020, 2021. Global supply chain got disrupted because all our turbo machinery, so compressors, gas turbines, were all manufactured in a very small village in Italy called Florence. So all that stopped. For 2 years, that global supply chain got really decimated. So, but overall, having walked through all those challenges, gone through all that, the beauty is when you now hit first gas and everyone is happy and smiling. We got the gas to Indorama, we got our first check end of Jan, and it was time to smile. The one we're still working through, which I know the EVP talked about, is the OB3, which is our control. So OB3 is still going through construction. We're hoping once that route is ready, we can then go for potential. So we haven't really opened up fully yet. We're just doing about 60 million scope to Indorama, and then the balance will go through there's an interim arrangement with LNG to supply about 220 or so to LNG, which we hope will start very soon. So in summary, Oliver, I think the biggest challenge for me is about, technical complexity. How do you build a plant? What vendors do you contract to build? For us, we couldn't afford the SIPEMs, the DEWs, the small. So you have to look for vendors that can bring your costs down. Then you have to then deal with the challenges. But in summary, I think that's what we're going to go through in this next wave as the independents are done with maximizing overall. Building capacity, that's a beautiful thing. We're building capacity, but those that have actually scaled up, have also developed competencies to begin to do jets. Our experience would be that technical body is still where there's still some work to do.
No, thanks, Effie. And I think it's a healthy check as well, because I think we all want to execute and implement, but then we need to make sure that there's recognized there's a capability. Sometimes it's a capability challenge, and sometimes it's, as you say, if the folks that are going to be putting a lot of capital are smaller independents, there's a financing challenge. So it's worth recognizing those things. So let's turn our attention again. Speaking about monetization domestically, Chris, I'd like to turn to you because Chevron has for a long time had your EGTL, that's a gas to liquid facility, and you produce LPG. Historically, that's a bit of an export. Tell us a little bit about the commercial momentum you see.
Chevron's maintained a long-standing position in our operations where we actually take gas and we convert into a high valuable product. And you mentioned EGTL, which is effectively a gas to liquids facility. Historically, many of those products have been exported. Some have been monetized domestically, many have been exported. And similarly, all the LPG that we produce from our operations, a lot of that has been exported as well. So when you think about it in the context of, hey, what are the opportunities opportunities to redirect some of those molecules and monetize them here more locally, not in the country or in the region. I'll start with a couple of considerations. First and foremost, I'm sure it's very supportive of these opportunities. To the extent that the macroeconomics indicate there is actually a net shortage and there is a market in demand for those products, you would think that supply that is location advantage or closer to home versus importing it from a faraway location should be compelling, right? There should be a natural advantage there. And so there's been times where we've actually seen those shortages exist, but frankly, many times, it has been there, despite sort of a public perception. The second consideration is quality. A lot of the products that we produce are just unique, if you will, and have some advantage qualities that just create a premium in the marketplace. And so to the extent that those markets develop, whether they're commercial markets or industrial markets that demand the sort of quality for the products that we produce, and those customers or markets develop locally, happy to entertain those opportunities as well, and really push to drive and capture those. And then finally, I'll mention logistics. We've had a number of people approach us for some of our liquid products and try to work out arrangements because it does appear there's a demand. Let's say, hey, commercial terms look interesting, and ultimately there's value in the quality. Logistics can get in the way as well. But what we can't do is get ourselves in a situation where the logistics provider isn't providing a safe, reliable mode of transport within our operations as well. So we maintain just a spirit of operational excellence, sort of a high degree on just consistency and reliability of logistics. Ultimately, moving those products to market is critical to making sure that all the upstream operations continue to move as well. So I'm frankly optimistic about the opportunities to monetize more liquid products in Nigeria and in the region. I think that's consistent with what we see in some of the gas master plan work as well, and just look forward to working with the various partners to make that happen.
Thanks a lot. So I think it's you'll look and you'll see the opportunities where they are. You can take advantage of those. I think that's kind of a good segue. I want to bring you back in, Faith, from an ESSO perspective. From a commercial standpoint, from where you sit, what does it take to have a really bankable gas project in Nigeria today? Do you see those conditions emerging, or what is left to bridge the gap?
So in terms of putting together a commercial deal on a gas project that's going to be competitive and easily attract capital, I think of this as four critical factors that have to come together. First is the market or the demand, right, the buyer. For a gas project to work, we have to be sure that the buyer on the other side of the deal can perform operationally as well as financially, right? Because as we discussed already in the Fiong pointed out, storage challenges with gas are significantly harder than storage challenges with crude. So the day you start up your gas project, the buyer's got to be there and reliably taking away the gas. It's got to have confidence in that part of the value chain. Second, once you've delivered the product, financial performance is absolutely critical, right? The buyer got a reputation for paying their bills fully on time. That's a critical part of the equation as an investor. That's the first factor, is the buyer and the market. The second factor we've touched on already in this panel is the infrastructure. You get gas from point A to point B, you need either a pipeline, if it's going to be LNG, you need liquid trains and ships. And so critical is the confidence to get the product from point A to point B with the loss in the middle, doing it reliably. Because if you can't get the product to the buyer, that's going to be disruptive to the business of both the investor as well as the buyer. So it doesn't work for either side. The third, critical factor in this is going to be having a pricing framework that is resilient over time. Right? Gas is fundamentally an energy product, and in the market, it competes with other forms of energy. If you're selling it to a power producer, there's people deciding whether to buy power from the grid or run their generator. So at the end of the market chain, it's competing with other energy products. And if you kind of repeat this exercise through any use case for gas, you'll see that it's just competing for energy use case. And so the gas pricing framework needs to be resilient and match energy market supply and demand. Because if it doesn't, the deal will not be resilient over the long run. If the gas price is too low relative to energy markets, then it's not good for the upcoming when it comes time to make future investments or buying decisions. And if the gas price becomes too high, it's going to energy markets, and it's not going to make sense for the buyer to keep using gas as the energy source for their business. And so a market-reflective framework is absolutely critical. And then lastly, the return on the investment, the competitiveness of the value has to be there. But investors today are picking between many different opportunities, whether it's gas, oil, Nigeria, elsewhere, different markets. And so the competitive return is absolutely critical to attracting capital. And in terms of Nigeria's readiness, I think as you pointed out, we have the right kind of intent and the right policy for coming together in a big way. I think what will really drive scale and speed moving forward is going to be purely how effective we are as an industry executing and implementing the vision of that all the way to the coming years.
You gotta look at what to incentivize the upstream investor, but you also have to be mindful of the end consumer as well. How can indigenous producers structure partnerships or commercial models to unlock gains more quickly? And maybe you already think this with Western.
Sorry to mention, to unlock the whole gas opportunity, I think the simple answer to all of that will be collaboration. Yeah. In a gas-driven world, it is producers. We are working with multiple operators, small, in all places, at all times, and we cannot be masters of it at all times. Some will be masters in equation, will be masters in commercial, and the collaboration I see that will be building with the indigenous community SMEs. We rely on that unity to say you are the person, find out that deal, and then we can all put together. You are a lot of collaboration. We also see enabling environment being put in place, enabling regulations being put in place by both the power sector and by NPC. So when we talk about collaboration, and that is where my entire is going to hang on, because I've seen it work in the past, and I see that as what we can leverage for it to work in the past. One would be around building communities. And I already mentioned that we joint development plan. Yeah, we do joint commercial deals with teams, for example. How many of us can get to make this supply? Evacuation solutions. How innovative can we be in evacuating our gas molecules into the market? We need to collaborate around strength in the value chain. Talked around looking at things in silos. So upstream needs to be talking to midstream, needs to be talking to downstream, needs to be talking to holistic commercial solution. Faisal talked about pricing. The pricing has to be right, and it's not a different discussion. It's the same discussion that we're having. I see collaboration around risk taking. Yeah, when we work together, then we can reduce our risk. Perhaps build operate transfer solutions. joint ventures, collaborating in unique, innovative solutions. I see collaboration around how do we do nodal modular solutions. So I start today, you start tomorrow. The third person continues to ensure we have a steady supply to the customer. And I think finally, I see collaboration around advocacy, around sustainable regulations. Challenges that the indigenous companies have are different from the challenges from the IOCs. Yeah, we actually have capital. It's a little different from us. So, there's a lot of work already going on in the IPG, and that's one of the ways that we collaborate to help to build regulations that we are able to track profitable gas business for us. So for me, it will be collaboration, where we have our strengths, we play to our strengths. Where there's weaknesses, we also use our strengths to cover our weaknesses. But at the end of the day, it's around ensuring that we are clear on where the demand is, how profitable it will be, of course, where the supply will be coming from. If we need to go together to ensure we have credit, then that's when it will be collaboration.
Clear. And as you were speaking, as reflecting on even the infrastructure, we talked earlier about the gap on infrastructure. We think it's like 5 or 6 BCF per day on processing. But if you can collaborate, jointly develop, that gap becomes much smaller. Right? So I think that's a very salient point. Well, as we move to the final round, and it's going to be a lightning round now because of time, I'm going to kind of ask each of the participants maybe in a minute or less, because I would love to just have 1 or 2 questions from the audience if I can, if time permits. So we'll just try and do a lightning round, and it's going to be about policy, sustainability, and regional energy security. And the first question is really for you, Chris. I'm going to actually ask Elo as well. Maybe on the back of Chris's response, you can also come in. It's about the government's steps to address legacy debt, right? To address that, to extinguish the debt owed to the upstream. And I want to know, because this is a private sector, we want to hear from the private sector. As you sit in the boardroom, what does this communicate? Does this create excitement about Nigeria? Is it enough? Hello, do you now look to the view on these this type of perspective? Maybe Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Albert. This is a question, a very timely question. In the spirit of it, this being a lightning round, I won't go ahead and thank all the various government stakeholders that would make it happen. But one thing that I have seen over the past 2 years is it does take our village to push a policy like forward. And, from Chevron's perspective, the actions that the federal government of Nigeria is taking to tackle the gas-to-power debt matter is a positive step. It clearly is a positive step. And I'd like to simplify this in a real simple way. You can have affordable, reliable power from a value chain that isn't burdened by a lot of debt. You can actually have an and world where you have a debt-free value chain that is providing affordable, reliable power. In fact, I'd say a critical way of ensuring sustainable, affordable, reliable power is to debt down consistently, because ultimately that's going to attract more capital, reduce the cost of capital. Chevron's been a long-standing provider of gas to Nigeria. It's really core to our purpose as a company, which is to provide affordable, reliable, ever cleaner energy to a growing world. And the steps that we've seen taken is much needed relief. We have a lot of work to do when it comes to implementation. Implementation has been tough and challenging, And really, the call to action is the solutions are clear. We've had a lot of good technical people do the work to come up with the solutions. What we need to do is remove barriers for them to actually implement these solutions. So let's just get out of our own way, implement these solutions. I think we're going to get to a much better place quickly.
Thanks, Elo.
That all of the incentives and all of the policies we've seen evolving in the past years are definitely a step in the right direction. Like the EPP said, there's no lack of policies. If you go back and the new gas master plan articulate all of the policies that have been in place, all the way back. But what is different, what we're beginning to see in the past 2-3 years, is not just policy, it's action. So if you go back to, and I would always say it's the same, the same story the same puzzle we're trying to solve. So if you go to the power, for example, what are the things that are enabling more gas to power? Several things that happened in the past. We have the eligible customers, the mini-grid regulation that allows, nobody's dependent on the national grid anymore. We have the state electricity law that allows states to run their own electricity. Now, where does this take us to, especially when you come back to what is happening with all of the presidential directives? See is action, right? For digitalization, right? So once you see that power bill from the payment of the gas market to my development, you will see people getting that space. For me, if there are credible in the short term, if my gas molecules would preferably go into independent power, where there's guarantee to my commercialization. In the long term, however, I see the benefit of the Nigerian master plan beginning to bear fruit in the next 2 to 3 years. If we are intentional with this act, I see a world where in 2 to 3 years' time, this entire value chain that I keep on talking about would be self-sufficient. In that self-sufficient world, then I would be happy to put my molecules anywhere, because then I know it comes back to me. So that's how I see all this policy.
And a clear view from we are close to time, and I think as our open it up for some questions, we have Richard saying, which is excellent. Amazing. We have 5 minutes. Questions from the audience. You have here, guys, you have the participants in the sector. Don't open up the floor for any questions, but be please just give your questions. We can give the participants a chance to respond. The gentleman in blue is over in the back. Is there a mic that can make way to the gentleman in blue? So they can see you. Yeah.
Hi. Good day. So my question is gas energy. Even in the gas the emissions want to smoke about which is a form of energy. How do we put the gas energy forward above solar energy, making people believe that okay, they can
best for practically buy into the energy than the solar energy. Knowing very well that the solar energy requires renewable, can just heat water, water environment. So how do
So question is ask for solar. Was it directed to any panelists in particular?
Just one question that's the event supposed to be there. Can you ask the time starts?
All right, thank you very much. My name is Precious, I'm a manager. So I'll change the direction of the conversation to something else a little bit. So a question which I think a lot of innovators in the room as well, from the tech side, startup and a lot of innovation. And we don't get a lot of innovations for the oil and gas industry from local startups from here in Nigeria. Given that the industry is responsible for over 10% of Nigeria's export earnings, I think executives from downstream and upstream sectors represented here in the panel. So my question, thinking about different sectors, what are the problems you face you think could be solved with AI? What innovations do you think young people should look at building? How do we break in and who should we be talking to? Thank you very much.
Solutions to AI, the role of AI, and young people. And who was the question directed to? All right, let's start with, yeah, just two questions. I think the first question for you is about the
So once again, I'm going to rely on these words, all of the above, right? From the energy demand perspective, globally, grow, and Nigeria specifically a market. If you think of people in Nigeria, they want more electricity, they're going to consume more moving forward. And there's many people that want higher quality, more consistent power. And so with the size of the market continuing to grow, frankly, we're going to need investments in all kinds of power solutions, both natural gas, solar, and then across the whole gas solutions. Secondly, I'd say that while gas and solar compete in the power generation markets, gas has a wide variety of other uses. Gas-based industries as well, and so those markets will continue to grow alongside the market for power. And so there's, I think, all of the above mindset is probably the appropriate approach in the moment and the place of the world where we are today, because we need solutions to meet our demands.
So it's an and, not a but, right? Let's open it. There was a really interesting question on of AI. I'd open anyone on the panelists who would like to respond to that.
I can chime in a little bit on AI. So, I mean, we say AI, I keep saying that the oil and gas industry, to be honest, for example, you can only drill, right? What you then do is, where you have sparsity of data, you pull the model, train the data you have using neural networks to predict reservoir properties where you don't have wells. This was 30, 40 years ago. This is not new, but the difference now is with HPC, the computing power is a lot now. There are a lot more that a lot of time.
There we go. So just I think that was really well summarized. The other thing I noticed, so just an example of the point, you have seismic data, what historically was 2 years process efficiently. I think we really covered that. The last thing I'll say, just more of a human standpoint, it can be really scary. About it is ultimately displacing people from a lot of jobs and place. What I would say, if you look at all of us around the panel, we're pretty old, like great value, that sort of innovative mindset. Those are people that are going to be able to be competitive and have long careers in the oil and gas industry. And many of those people are coming from the younger generation. So if you're out there, don't lose hope. There's a lot of opportunity for you. Technology.
All right. Thank you very much. And I think that will bring our panel to a close. We had great discussion, great panelists. I think the message is overwhelmingly clear. The opportunity is present, it's real, it's execution and implementation, back to EVP's point. And of course, commercial competitiveness is going to attract people. Challenges be turning momentum into true scale. And I think we have all the ingredients in place. Big thank you to our panelists. Let's give them a round of applause. Well done, everyone.
Sound. Head of house, please walk with me. Okay, your phone and be in this room. All right. Just remember a few seconds. If you can please present the plaques of our appreciation volunteers. Let's begin with the plaque for our moderator. Thank you. Leading complex where I developed not only consumption, that of but yes, a lot of the industry. So it's as well. If you follow, it will completely service the least and between Chris and Oliver. Chris and Oliver. Yes. So after the indulgence. I need a volunteer now. Please, applause as the seat. I need a volunteer now. Let's begin. Sponsor this because before giving sponsors a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to our sponsors. When I get there, the sponsor now, please welcome back engineer. Round of applause. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm so pleased to see how full the room is. On behalf of Midwestern and all of the Midwestern companies represented here, UPL, Guinea, pipelines, energy resources, Um, energy for us is huge. Energy for us is the future. Population is increasing on a daily basis. But energy without innovation, we can't achieve it. That is where you, all of the students, all of the YPs, all of the government regulators here to. Innovation is what makes the difference. Innovation is what translates gas into power. Innovation is what translates solar, like my young man asked about earlier, into energy. So as we sit today, tomorrow, and we listen to the conversations in the room, I want our has energy accessible to every individual, not just the people in Lagos, not just the Abuja. Energy accessibility for all. So I just want to wish you all a very good deliberation. And for me and the Western team, we're happy to pass this conversation and looking forward to even a bigger one in 2020. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we will take a break now. We'll do the exhibit for the guys are ready to do the tour. We'll come back. But please, the VIP tour, you can take the own VIP. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back for the next session. Every person remains seated. Only the VIP in the tour. Remain seated. Yeah, bring your refreshment to you. Here. We'll be back for our next session at 1:40. 1:40 is when we're resuming the next session. Just one panel and we're done. That 1:40, we have just one, we're done. So, Paula, if you can hear me, if you and your team can get the refreshment for the delegates that are sitting here now, please give them their own refreshment. The VIP talk can start, and then we will come back here at 1:40. Every other person remains seated. The refreshment is coming, and I'll see you. Thank you. Now, after the refreshment, you can then visit exhibitors. You can visit the exhibitors after that and come back here at 1:40. But for now, just remain seated for your refreshment. Thank you.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
All right. Please, can we uh, we're beginning here with please, can our VIPs come this way, please? Ogaraf, please come this way. Where's Uju? Chris, Faizan, please come this way. All right. So to the exhibitors, please, we're giving you 2 minutes to make your speech, your pitch rather, just 2 minutes so that we can go around to everyone that is around here. So 2 minutes. Oh, okay. The your Trexam is here. MD, sound, technical. Sound. So, all right, let's go. MD.
Okay, I've been hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for my book. The precept is very simple. Where I go, our goal is to cause growth. Now, so that with multiple different opportunities, opportunities that are tied to energy. Trek Energy Services has focused on a lot of asset integrity and all activities. Amongst other clients, Trek Chemicals so we help base in energy, and we have engineering, which is a full-fledged a technical partner called one of the largest EPC companies globally. In addition to that, at Aki, we're also the local partners for Dressaran, for recips and centrifugal compressors. We have a maintenance facility in Port Harcourt, 2,000 square meters covered facility, where we can do maintenance on all types of racing equipment. I think it's one of a kind in West Africa. We definitely love to engage with any one of the operators here on how we can support your operations going forward. Thank you very much.
You can see in our banner to engineering design for clients with a major EPC, engineering, procurement, and construction. That is what we do. So on the other side, you see construction and fabrication. We specialize in of 3D. We have a 3D scanner, which is here. We'll display them tomorrow. We have different scanners, 3D scanner. This is Faro. So we'll display 3D tomorrow here. Then we also do asset integrity maintenance. We also do that. Then you can see from there, you can see some scanners displaying on the screen on our slide already. So we do also slick line, wire line, that we do hydroblasting, grade blasting. So we have some machine, 40,000 PSI, 15,000 PSI, and all that. So we also do, we just integrate oil and wellhead maintenance into our system. So these are the major things we do for now. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, my chair says 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. 1 minute. It's dropped to 1 minute.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is to get services. We want to be the choice every services that we engage in. So we prioritize our clients and we provide customized solutions that help our clients to save cost and reduce waste. So we are a solution-driven company tailored to
mission is to be to provide service to every companies in the oil and gas sector that we're engaging. So thank you, and we look forward to
investment in an asset management business of which is leading trust business in Nigeria. It includes First Cap, which is the leading investment bank in Nigeria. It includes the asset management, managing funds, and is also one of the top. It includes First Trustees, which is the broking arm of First Bank. So everything that you need in terms of asset management, investment banking, trustees, you would find right there in the booth. I'm here with my colleagues presenting all the businesses. So our strategies. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Deacon. I'm the development manager for business. We are implementing the company to the oil and gas market. We offer licensing equipment so we offer marine
Lagos Energy. And they are bringing in drive for energy. So on behalf of the SPE and with me, Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jo. I'm the business manager for Kenoji Integrated Logistics Limited. We are into procurement services. We also into supply of training, maintenance, technical services, land and marine logistics, leasing services that we render. We also service the top ICs here in Nigeria as well, and we have various OEM, which we explain the to that is support and will be. Thank you. Major equipment of gas and PMS downstream, and we also supply other for oil and gas companies. Our new platform, international tech, and we pair that with
deep domain expertise, that's the human element. This allows us to lean in when our clients have issues and make sure that our software or our platform is evolving to their needs, and we can do bespoke services. Our solutions are integrated planning, integrated gas management, carbon management, and FinOps, which we're dropping this year, and all of them allow capital access to flow in smoothly and then also to scale over time. Thank you so much. But beyond this, so every other thing that the regular ISPs do, we do now. People from beyond that, we also have to price service that we just launched for the oil and gas companies. So with that, we can help you answer your wellhead monitoring, via IT, all of that. So that's all right. And I see that you are not, so we'll definitely be knocking on your doors, wanting to talk to you about all of that. Yes. So we've moved on to the regular NGO. Whatever it is you want to do, whatever option, we are here for you to see. Thank you very much.
No, here.
Our interest across the entire value chain, from upstream, midstream, downstream, and power. One of the biggest accomplishments is the we contribute about 12-15% of production in the country from the big portfolio. To right mind, see how the SPE can support operations. Today, we're looking at how we can open a few barrels company, and that requires a lot of investment.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Crown Talent Consultant. We're a consulting firm with a strong background in the oil and gas industry. We provide a wide range of HR services to our clients, ranging from recruitment, HR outsourcing, so we can actually run your HR department for you, consulting on compensation, talent management, performance management, full TC, talent pipeline, which is a tool whereby people can upload their CVs and get early access to jobs and opportunities that become available in the market. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good day, everyone. My name is Oye, representing SAM. So what we the services we provide include warehouse services, competition, information. Okay, so my name is Oye. Our services include
first services, also we have a graduates, graduates who are to join to the oil and gas industry, so we have to accommodate them basically. Thank you. Refreshment, whatever your budget, brother. You can now visit with exhibitors. VIP the meeting room. All the participants, please visit with the exhibitors. Thank you very much. We'll see you at 140. 140 for the 140. All right. It is all here. Company, drivers, industry. Find where people from. That's where it's taking place. Let's let them more me. And me.
July is still far. I don't know if I'll be in country in July. At least let me plan ahead. Drew, you good? Let's see. Yes, sir. Sad, but so I intend at basically neighbors now. Yeah. So, if I want to, you're in charge of me.
Please, the students should head to the career fair. Students and YPs, please, you can head on to the career fair session. We've started. We have various companies waiting for you. You can head on to the career fair booths. Please, you leave the main auditorium to the career fair booths so you talk to any of the companies you're interested in. So please, students Students, members, and YPs, you can head on to the career fair booths. So for alumni of University of Lagos, we have University of Lagos stand as well. You can also stop by. So students, members, and YPs head on to the career fair booths. So please, we also have booths for University of Lagos. So alumni from University of Lagos, you can also check out the booths. Students, members, and YPs, the career fair session is on. make sure you make good use of this time to ask questions, connect, and I'm sure the various companies, they have a lot for us. So I think Sahara's presentation is up. You can head at the Career Fair stand at the extreme end of the session. Student members and YPs. Student members and YPs, Career Fair is on. I've spoken to him already. He's a very old, Yeah. So, alumni of the University of Lagos, the University of Lagos stand. Also, you can check out, please check out the various companies. So Sahara presentation is on. You can head down to the career fair stand. Alumni from the University of Lagos, you can check out the University of Lagos booths. So, alumni of University of Lagos, you can check out the University of Lagos stand. So please, students, members, and wives, you can head down to the career fair booths. He has not been. He's coming from TIT. We are going to make it. Please. So we have some minutes left, Make sure you are interacting, changing numbers, reaching out, asking questions, connecting with other students and YPs. Also, remember we have just a few minutes. Let's try to connect.
Oh, you mean for essays, anybody that wants to go for pronunciation is
Students, members, and YPs, the career fair is still on. Alumni of University of Lagos, you can check out the University of Lagos stand as well.
let me tell you something. See, let me tell you something. Don't let
You can also check out the SP booth to get registered as a member of SP. Students, membership, and young professionals. Student membership is free. Make sure you check out the SP booths. Students, members, and YPs, career fair is still on. Student members, non-members, you can register at the SP booths. Student membership is free. Come and register. If you live here without becoming a member, that's actually a very wrong thing. Membership is free for student